Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Scouting Report on SoundersFC.com. My name is Nick Firchau. I'm here with Steve Zakuani, coming to you from the 90 in Pioneer Square in Seattle. And Steve, we're talking about the Seattle Sounders' first road matchup of 2016, coming on Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific on Joe TV in Cairo, 97.3 FM and El Rey 1360 AM. It's the Sounders at Real Salt Lake at Rio Tinto Stadium out there in Sandy, Utah, a place where the Sounders have played some classic historical games, and you have as well over the years. Brad Evans has played in a lot of those big games, but he's not going to play this weekend. That's the biggest news in Sounders camp this week. The veteran center back out with a shoulder injury that he sustained in the MLS season opener against Sporting Kansas City last week. The injury looked pretty bad, Steve. Without Brad Evans on the field, what do the Sounders lose in the back?
Well, yeah, Nick, I mean, the injury looks very bad. As soon as I saw Brad come down, I said right away, shoulders, it's no joke. It's the real deal. And what Seattle will miss is their best playing defender. Brad's obviously a centre midfielder by trade for the most part. So coming out of the back, building a lot of attacks, starting the plays, they're going to miss that. You won't have that. Brad's very calm on the ball, no matter where he receives it. Under pressure, not under pressure. He builds, he lets Tyrone go forward and the left back go forward because he's able to feed them very clean passes. He gets Ozzy in the game and he can play the long ball too. And you've seen Brad at times break out from the back and make runs. So missing Brad, they're going to miss obviously the leadership and the intangibles and all of that, but the cleanest guy on the ball from the back, and they have to find someone else to build up from the back.
So a big loss in the locker room at Rio Tinto Stadium on Saturday, and then on the field, it looks like Zach Scott will be the man who gets the start on the back line for the Sounders, 35-year-old guy who re-signed with the Sounders at the end of last year. He actually had almost 1,500 minutes on the field in 2015. That's a career high for him, but he's a different kind of player than Brad Evans.
Almost the complete opposite. And Zach, somehow he finds a way to reinvent himself every year. Looks like he's done and then suddenly he comes back and he looks as young as ever. What they'll have with Zach Scott is not someone who's going to play from the back, not someone who necessarily wants the ball under pressure, but he's going to fight for every ball. He's going to want to get into physical battles with the Salt Lake attacking players. He's going to throw his body on the line. That's the kind of thing Zach does. And what you can get from Zach that you also get from Brad is the leadership, is that veteran voice. Very vocal, very encouraging. So you'll lose the guy who's going to control the ball and build from the back. What you gain, in many ways, is a guy who you know would dive with his head to block a shot if he had to.
One of the most beloved players in Sounders history, really. Zach Scott could make his first start of the year on Saturday. The other option is Tony Alfaro, the rookie center back out of Cal State Dominguez Hills. But whoever lines up with Chad Marshall on the back line, they're going to have to contend with Joao Plata and that Real Salt Lake offense, Steve, that put up 2 goals against Orlando in the season opener before they ultimately settled for a 2-2 draw. Plata is one of the most electric players in the league, considering he's 5'2", and you think he might even be shorter. This is a guy who's had his success against the Sounders in the past, and Real Salt Lake very good at Rio Tinto Stadium over the past few years against Seattle. So how do the Sounders clamp down on Plata in that RSL front line?
It's a tough place to play, Rio Tinto. There's a couple ways to stop Plata. One of the ways actually has nothing to do with Plata. You've got to stop Javier Morales because he's the supply to Plata. So if Osvaldo Alonso can get very close to Morales, who likes to roam and move the defenders around, and if you're marking him, be ready to run because he moves around a lot. Looks like he's walking, but he's very smart in how he finds spaces. And once he receives the ball, Plata takes off and they all run off him. So if you stop Morales, you stop the supply to Plata, and that's a big part of stopping Salt Lake. However, Plata is good enough that when he does receive the ball, take you on the dribble. He can play 1-2s on a given goal. He's a very good finisher, as we saw last week, and as Seattle know in history. So you've got to get really tight to Plata. Don't allow him to turn. Once he faces you up, he's extremely quick, and he's going to take off. So Zach Scott actually is a good matchup because he won't let Plata turn. He's going to be right up behind him, and he's about 4'11", so he's very shifty, but just a very dangerous player. Stop Morales, don't allow Plata to turn, and you limit his supply severely.
That is one of the interesting matchups we're looking forward to. And the Seattle Sounders go on the road this weekend at Rio Tinto Stadium up against Real Salt Lake, the first road game of 2016 for the Sounders. You can watch it on Saturday, 1 p.m. Pacific on Joe TV, or listen to it on the radio, Cairo, 97.3 FM, or El Rey, 1360 AM. For Steve Zakuani, I'm Nick Firchau. Thanks for watching the Scouting Report.